we are a day away from what could potentially be a master move by former President Donald Trump. Now, to be completely transparent, none of this has been confirmed yet, but there is a lot of evidence to suggest that not only is RFK Jr. going to drop out of the race, but he could actually join forces with President Trump and endorse him and potentially serve in the second Trump administration, maybe as head of the CIA or the FDA. Now, before I show you the evidence for all of that, I want to talk about the impact that this would have on the race. If RFK Jr. actually dropped out and endorsed President Trump, it would almost certainly be a death blow for Kamala Harris's campaign. Virtually every poll shows that RFK Jr. pulls more votes from Trump. So if he's out of the race, if he's out of the equation, then those voters go back to Trump. And in fact, Trump would actually get more if RFK Jr. endorsed him. And let's talk about the timing of all of this. That's why it's a master move, because right now Harris is on the tail end of her honeymoon, the DNC is coming to a close, and in the normal world, the media would spend the rest of the week and the weekend talking about the DNC, but if RFK Jr. drops out tomorrow and joins forces for a powerhouse ticket with President Trump, this would completely disrupt the narrative. It would take over the media cycle. The Harris honeymoon would be officially over if it's not over already. The best way we can tell the media and the Democrats are freaking out about this is just taking a look at ABC News. They had J.D. Vance on, and they asked J.D. Vance about this rumor, and when he started talking about RFK Jr.'s potential endorsement, ABC News cut the feed.
So I don't know if those reports are true, but I would certainly welcome his endorsement. I mean, I grew up in a family. I was raised by my poor grandmother who didn't have a high school diploma, but
looks like we just lost Senator J.D. Vance there.
Now, a lot of Democrat influencers are just claiming that that's a technical difficulty and that there's nothing to worry about. There was no foul play there. But it's just funny how the corporate media always tends to have these technical difficulties against Republicans. Because remember, just a few weeks ago, CNN did the same thing to a veteran. Someone who actually served in the military with Tim Walz was speaking out against Tim Walz and exposing and accusing him of stolen valor. He was laying out the case against Tim Walz, and CNN cut him off, claiming that they were having audio issues.
Of your time, and your audio is beginning to break up just a little bit. But I do want to thank you because I think you've clarified a lot for people and given more information. The question now is how the voters will evaluate it. Sergeant Major Doug Julian, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I should note our show has...
The audio was breaking up so bad that he was able to say goodbye to the CNN host. I'm just saying. Now, these rumors started when Nicole Shanahan, who is RFK Jr.'s running mate, appeared on a podcast, and she gave her perspective on the future of the campaign, because most polls show that they're high single digits, maybe low double digits, but it's essentially an unsustainable path forward. And so she was sharing her view on... She viewed two options for the campaign, and one of those options was to drop out and endorse Trump.
You know, there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and you know, we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
Notice how she's only terrified of a Kamala Harris presidency. She is pretty much admitting she knows, RFK Jr. knows, they're not delusional people. They know that they're realistically not going to win. Their odds of winning are less than 0.0001%. And so she knows that only one of the two major parties is going to win this election. And she's not afraid of Donald Trump winning. She's afraid of Kamala Harris winning. I think that right there says a lot. And also, by the way, Democrat leaders, I'm not talking about your everyday Democrat voter because they get brainwashed by the mainstream media, right? But if you take a look at what Democrat Party leaders have to say, like on Capitol Hill, including those in the media, including the consultants and advisors that they all have, none of them are actually afraid of President Trump. You'll notice they don't talk about democracy anymore. they used to call Trump a threat to democracy. They realized that most people see through that fake attack line. So they've pivoted from the attack on Trump being a threat to democracy, and now they're just talking about freedom. They're keeping things so vague that people can assume and paint whatever picture they want of President Trump. And I just thought that was interesting that she's not afraid of Trump. She's only afraid of Kamala Harris. And by the way, we've all lived through a Trump term. We still have a constitutional republic, a democratic republic. We still have checks and balances. We still have 3 branches of government. We still have the Bill of Rights. Meanwhile, you have the other side, which in their own words says they want to fundamentally transform America. I mean, Michelle Obama said that in 2008, 2007, and Democrats have only moved even further left since then. Now, Nicole Shanahan exposed how panicked the Democrats are. My old Democrat buddies have been flooding me with frantic calls, texts, and emails. Unlike Roe, I wouldn't dream of airing those private conversations publicly, but the message is clear. They're terrified of the idea of our movement joining forces with Donald Trump. And again, this lines up with the polls that show that most of RFK's support is drawing from Trump's base, not Kamala Harris's. When I point out what the Democrat Party and their super PACs have done to sabotage our campaign, their response is always, but Trump is worse. Here's an idea. Stop suing us. Let us debate. Quit rigging the media and the polls. It's a simple formula. People, get with it. I think that's a great point. And again, Democrats are no longer talking about the threat to democracy, because most people see through that, and it's the Democrats who are the threat to democracy. The fact that they have been so coordinatedly, is that even a word? It should be a word because it makes sense. Coordinatedly, been taking down RFK Jr.'s campaign, been declaring and carrying out lawfare against President Trump. I mean, they're the ones who aren't letting the democratic process in our constitutional republic play out. Now, Shanahan went on Fox to clarify her comments even further.
I have to say there's only one party that has obstructed a fair election for us. And unfortunately, it was the Democratic Party. They've done everything they can, including creating PACs to prevent us from being able to have ballot access. And we are willing to work with anyone who is sincere in their endeavor to fix and address this issue.
So specifically, the issue she's talking about is kids' health. The campaign in general is very health focused, but she specifically is focused on the diseases that children have, and she wants to tackle those and pass basically more legislation that would fund research into a lot of diseases that affect children specifically.
Believe the Trump campaign and Trump himself is sincere. Do you see a home? You talk about this as being Bobby's decision. Do you see a home for RFK Jr. in the Trump administration, Health and Human Services, something to that extent?
I would fully support it. I would fully support a strong partnership dedicated to this issue.
I think it's interesting because the National Review today kind of agrees with you. It's saying that if you, in fact, join the Trump campaign, I'm not saying the Trump campaign, if you pulled out of the race, that it would be more beneficial to the Trump campaign than the Harris campaign.
And keep in mind that the National Review at this point is essentially a never Trump publication. Like, I get that they still have Trump-friendly pieces because Trump is obviously better than Kamala Harris, Tim Walz administration. That would just be really on the road to communism, socialism, Marxism, all the left-wing just radicalness that would come from their administration. And even the National Review, which again is pretty never Trump, is saying that this is a good thing for Trump. Now, a lot of the reason that these rumors started spreading, aside from Nicole Shanahan, again, RFK Jr.'s running mate, is this report from the Daily Wire. RFK Jr. dropping out of race will address nation while in the same city as President Trump. They're both going to be holding a rally. Kennedy's campaign said that he will make a live address on Friday in Phoenix, which comes as Trump will be holding a rally in Glendale, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix. So there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not RFK Jr. is actually going to join President Trump at that rally. Trump was asked about this on Fox News, and he played kind of coy, which is why I said earlier at the start of the video that none of this is confirmed, because Trump himself is, I assume he's trying to keep everything under wraps, but trying to hint towards people that this is coming. He doesn't want to take the momentum, pull the carpet out of Kamala's big night proactively. He wants to wait until she gives her big speech, then boom, the next day he pops the balloon, her honeymoon is over. Here's what Trump said on Fox News.
Yesterday, there was a big announcement or big rumors spreading that RFK Jr. might be dropping out, might be endorsing you. His spokesperson said they will give a live address tomorrow about his path forward. And now there are rumors that he might join you at this rally in Arizona tomorrow to announce that he's supporting you. What's the truth? Have you talked to him?
So I've known him for a long time. He's as you know, he's a little different kind of a person. If he endorsed me, I would be honored by it. I would be very honored by it. He really has his heart in the right place.
Okay, so the reason I mentioned that maybe he would be in charge of the CIA or maybe he would be in charge of the FDA is because Don Jr. Appeared on Glenn Beck's show, or he called into Glenn Beck's show, and he floated this idea out there. One of just analyzing, following, and covering Trump over the last few years, one of the things I've noticed is he tends to use his children not only as surrogates, but he tends to use them as trial balloons. They'll float an idea here, they'll float an idea there, they'll see what the feedback is before Trump himself makes the endorsement. And in fact, Trump does the same thing at his rallies. A lot of Democrats and the pundits, they just don't understand Trump. Like, they'll complain that his rallies are unscripted and meandering, and he goes from topic to topic. But anyone who has followed Trump and analyzed Trump knows that Trump uses his rallies as a focus group, essentially, a real-time, in-person focus group. He'll just say an idea, such as no taxes on service industry tips, and see what the crowd response is. And if the crowd response at the rally is good, then he'll start talking about it more and more, and then it eventually becomes a policy position. In other words, Trump is reflecting the will of the people. He's reflecting the will of his base, which is what a public servant should do. They should be in tune with the people. They should be listening to the people. And so my theory is that this wasn't just an off-the-cuff comment by Donald Trump Jr., but actually a trial balloon to see what the feedback would be.
The endorsement from RFK, do you think that's coming?
Listen, I hope so. I think RFK, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's actually got very good views on certain things. I think there's some other things, we're going to disagree with him on. And so, I love the idea. I love the idea of, giving him, some sort of role in some sort of, major three-letter entity or whatever it may be, and let them blow it up. I think that's what we need. And so I think that kind of unity, even where there may be certain disagreements on certain things, I think he could be a really great asset for that. I think
three-letter entity and let him blow it up. Those were the key words right there. So is the Trump administration, Trump campaign, potentially considering RFK Jr. for head of the CIA, the FBI, the FDA? I have no idea. I'm just wondering. Let me know what you think if this actually is a serious idea being proposed by Donald Trump Jr. Do you think RFK would be in charge or nominated for the head of any one of those agencies? Let me know your prediction. He specifically said three-letter agency. Let me know which three-letter agency you would like to see RFK Jr. be in charge of. I get that we're not going to agree with him on everything, but he does have a lot of great ideas, and I think he would be great for a second Trump administration. Now, the latest RFK Jr. polls, this actually came out this afternoon. It's from Navigator. I have not heard from them, and I was unable to find any historical data on as far as their accuracy, but it's the most recent. And in the blue wall states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, it shows Trump up 45 to 44 with Harris, and then RFK Jr. at 5%, which is a little lower than some of the other polls I've seen. I've seen RFK Jr. as low as 4, but I've also seen him as high as 9, and in some cases even 11. But that's not what we want to look at. So again, let's just take 5. Let's be very conservative. Let's be really pessimistic. Let's just say RFK Jr. only, 5%. Well, according to Fox News, Fox News asked if the candidates were only Trump and Harris. They were asking RFK Jr. voters this. How would you vote? Well, 41% of RFK Jr. voters would go for Donald Trump, and only 27% of them would go for Kamala Harris. That is a 14-point advantage for Donald Trump. This essentially would mean that Trump would get a 2-point bump. Yes, Kamala Harris gets some, so the net gain for Trump would be 0.7%. And with as tight as some of the public polls are, that's enough to swing it in Trump's favor, especially in the swing states. Now, I do think the public polls, as I expressed in my latest video, the video right before this, is that I do think the public polls are overestimating Kamala Harris's strength and Kamala Harris's support. Now, it's not just Fox News reporting that. Town Hall also did an analysis. They said, quote, a recent New York Times Siena poll, which again, New York Times is a very trusted poll, suggested that 41% of RFK backers said they'd move to Trump versus just 27% for Harris. So that, again, is matching Fox News's numbers. Essentially, if RFK Jr. drops out tomorrow, expect a polling bump for President Trump. It could potentially match or completely wipe out whatever bounce Harris was going to get from the Democratic National Convention. And again, I think this is a master move if this actually happens tomorrow, because why? If nothing happened, if there was no other news, the media and social media would talk about the convention through the rest of the weekend, essentially giving the Harris campaign 3 free days of media, friendly media. But by announcing this tomorrow, Trump is going to pull the rug out from Kamala Harris. He's going to pop the balloon and the honeymoon and make the conversation about him. The DNC is going to be completely in the past, in the rearview mirror. It's going to be over. She's not going to have any more momentum to ride. This could be a master move. This could be a game changer. But as always, this is just my opinion, just my analysis, and I would love to know yours in the comments below. Again, if RFK Jr. decides to be part of a second Trump administration, which 3-letter agency do you think Trump would appoint him to as head of if Don Jr.'s suggestion is a preview of what's to come? What do you think it would be? Now, if you want to help me out in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.